In the last episode, we went to the Vatican cities and passed through the Holy Door. We also went to the Vatican Museum. If you missed the last episode, just click the info card above to watch it. In this episode, we're going to explore the beautiful city of Rome on this motorcycle. We're going to several famous attractions in this city. Let's get started after the intro. After a long, tiring day in Vatican City, I woke up at around noon. After that, I found a restaurant nearby and to have my lunch. Our first stop is Castle Sant'Angelo. This circular fortress has lived many lives. It was an imperial top, a military stronghold, a prison, and even a refuge for popes. During the plague of 590 years, Pope saw Archangel Michael shatter his wall above the fortress, signaling the end of the divine punishment. The plague ended shortly after, and the fortress earned his name, the Castle of the Holy Angel. This is Ponte Sant'Angelo, one of Rome's most dramatic and beautiful bridges. Built in 134 AD, it originally served as a simple link between the city and the emperor's mausoleum. In the 7th century, Bellini redesigned it and added 10 angels, each carrying an instrument of Christ's passions. This street is called Via dei Coronari, one of the most historic and atmospheric streets in Rome. In the Middle Age, it sells rosaries and religious items here, which give it the street its name, the Coronari, which means the rosary sellers. During the year of Jubilee, I noticed something very interesting here. A gelato ice cream with Jubilee favored. Have you tried it before? If not, come here to try it. And now we're at Plaza Navona. Does it look like a racetrack? It used to be. It used to be the Stadium of Domitian. At the center is Bellini's Fountain of the Four Rivers. Each figure represents a major world river: the Nile, the Ganges, the Danube, and the Rio de la Plata, symbolizing global civilization. Behind it is Chiesa di Guiso, the mother church of the Jesuits. The Counter-Reformation begins here in the 16th century, and from this place, education, missions, and scientific research spread across the world. The ceiling fresco is a masterpiece of Baroque theatrical art. They changed the world significantly by education, scientific research, and global cultural exchange. They created the world's first standardized modern curriculum, which influenced the structure of modern university. Nowadays, there are more than 200 Jesuit colleges and universities worldwide. Many of them are scientists, which contribute significantly to observational astronomy and global mapping. Even today, the Vatican Observatory is run by the Jesuits. They are also the first to bring European science and mathematics to Asia and bring back Chinese literature and philosophy back to Europe. On my way to Pavilion, I bought a Madritasso, which is similar to cream bun in Hong Kong. I would say this one is more creamier. The Pantheon is the best preserved ancient buildings in Rome. Its dome remains the world's largest unreinforced concrete dome even after 2,000 years. The oculus, the eyes of heaven, lets the perfect beam of light enter like the gaze of a god. Rings for inside? Yes, but the floor drains were decided 2,000 years ago. Its dome still hold a world record, and every year on 21st of April, a beam of sunlight aligns perfectly with the entrance, symbolizing link between heaven and earth. This is the Church of St. Ignatius, built as a chapel of the Jewish University in Rome. Which makes the church famous isn't the facade but the optical miracle inside. Because there weren't enough money to build a real dome, the Jesuit painters Andrew Posselt create a fake one. The perfect paint illusion that looked three-dimensional from a specific spot on the floor. Takes 2 steps to the side, and the dome suddenly collapsed into a flat surface. The ceiling frescoes is also Posselt's masterpiece. The Apophysis of St. Ignatius, with the 4 continents surrounding him, symbolizing the global missions of the Jesuits. You might have noticed, the light of the ceiling in the church is on and off. Because if you want to turn on the light, you have to insert €1 coin in the machine. Most churches in Rome do not charge an entrance fee, not because the maintenance is cheap, but because Catholic traditions hold that the house of God should never have a ticket gate. Yet, maintenance of this building is extremely expensive, so they have to develop a clever non-ticket system. The crown place we are now seeing is the Trevi Fountain. Completed in the 18th century, the Trevi Fountain is the largest Baroque fountain in Rome. Oceanus, the sea god, towers at the center riding a wild seahorse, symbolizing the power of water. But the real legend is the coin toast. Stand with your back to the fountain, throw a coin over your right shoulder, and fate will bring you back to Rome. On the second day in Rome, I decided to rent a motorcycle to explore the city. I rent a Vespa 125cc, which is the same model as in movie Roman Holiday. In today's video, I'm not going to leave the medical knowledge part at the end of the videos. I'm going to share it with you while you are watching and enjoying the view of Rome right now. The topic I would like to talk about today is motorcycle helmets and public health. The World Health Organization recognized motorcycle helmets as one of the most cost-effective interventions in road traffic safety. The lethality of motorcycle crash comes from rapid deceleration, not speed alone. The brain continues moving inside the skull, causing cerebral contusion, intracranial hemorrhage, diffuse axonal injury. Helmet protects work through a hard shell to distribute force, an EPS liner that compress and absorb energy. How much risk reduction do helmets provide? A Cochrane review in 2008 shows that 69% of reductions in severe head injuries and 42% reductions in mortality. Why helmet use is a public health issue, not a personal choice. A severe head injury consumes significant public resources, including ambulance and pre-hospital care, emergency resuscitation, neurosurgery, ICU stay, long-term rehabilitation, family care burden. CDC estimated motorcycle injury costs more than 12 billion years in the US alone. So what happened when laws required motorcycle rider to wear helmets? The most classic success case is in Vietnam. The mandatory helmets law in 2007 led to 18,000 fewer severe head injuries and major reductions in fatality and medical costs. How to know if a helmet can actually save you? Here's what matters. First, certifications. Look for ECE, DOT, or SNELL. No certification, no protection. Simple as that. Second, the EPS liner. That thick foam inside is what absorbs the impact. Without it, your helmet is basically a plastic ball. Third, the chin strip. This is the most underrated part. If it is loose or you don't fasten it, the helmet will fly off in a crash. And if it flies off, it's actually the same as not wearing one. Fourth, helmets are single use. It's been dropped or crashed, it's done. The foam inside can only protect you once. Fifth, full face helmets protect the most. Your chin is one of the most common impact points. Half helmets don't protect it at all. Finally, fit matters. If the helmet moves around or feels loose, it won't protect you properly. A real helmet should feel solid, snug, and secure. Everything else is just a decoration. In the last episode, at the Vatican, we already talked about the Holy Door, the symbolic door that opens only during the Jubilee year. But here's something most travelers don't know. There's another holy door in Rome that you can actually walk through without the Vatican crowns. And it's right here at Santa Maria Maggiore, one of the 4 major papal basilicas. So if you couldn't make it to the Vatican Holy Door, don't worry. You can still have the experience here, and usually with 0 waiting times. The symbolism is the same, but the vibe is much more relaxed. And once you're inside, the basilica is truly worth the time. Santa Maria Maggiore is the oldest Marian church in the world, and spiritually, it is known as the Bethlehem of Rome. That's because it houses one of the most important relics of Christianity, fragments of the manger where Jesus was laid. The story goes back to the 4th century. Saint Helena, the mother of Emperor Constantine, traveled to the Holy Land, found the site of Jesus' birth in Bethlehem, took pieces of the manger, and brought them back to Rome, placing them right here in the basilica. Below the dome, this golden little room you're seeing now is the Chapel of the Nativity, and inside that glasses are the original manger fragments. It is intentionally designed to echo the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem. This place is literally Rome's second Bethlehem. Of course, we are going to buy some souvenir. There are some souvenir which is exclusive for Jubilee year. And now we are going to the key highlights of this trip. There is a place you can park your motorcycle next to the Colosseum. It's actually quite convenient. The Colosseum was the largest entertainment arena of the ancient world. It held between 50 to 80,000 people, and thanks to 80 entrance arches, the entire stadium could be filled in just 15 minutes, a logistical miracle even by modern standard. The exposed underground area in the center of the stadium is called Hippodrome, where gladiators and wild animals wait for their turns. The wooden stage above was full of trapdoor, winches, and elevators. Basically ancient special effects. It wasn't just violence, it was a spectacular theater. But behind all the entertainment was politics. The emperor used a free game to distract the public from real problems: shortages, taxes, corruptions, war. This was the famous Roman strategy of bread and cruces.
哦，呢個才是高級門票。
那一切是高级门票。
你又知道？
啊，不然呢？
说了吧。
If the Colosseum is the center of entertainment, then the Roman Forum opposite to it would be the center of governance, and the Palatine Hill next to it would be the center of power. We start our visit on Palatine Hill, the legendary birthplace of Rome. According to traditions, Romulus built the very first heart of Rome right on this hill. Later, this became the most exclusive neighborhood in the ancient world. Every emperor lived here: Augustus, Tiberius, Nero, Domitian. The palace wasn't buildings, the entire hill was the palace. Walking through these ruins means walking inside imperial bedrooms, gardens, banquet hall, and bath complex. From the top of the hill, you look straight down on the Roman Forum, exactly the views emperors woke up to every morning. A literal symbol of power, the ruler above, the states below. Let's take this moment to enjoy these breathtaking views.
The house of the Vestal Virgins, then. Oh, right, it's from the name, is it? Yes. It's over here.
Walking downhill from Palatine Hill brings us straight into the Roman Forum, which is not just a collection of ruins. This was the operating system of Western civilization. Everything that defined Roman public life happens here. Politics, legislation, finance, religion, public speeches, elections, military celebrations, they all happened here. The most important examples is of course Curia Julia, the Roman Senate house. Every major political decision, war, taxation, reform, was debated and approved in this room. This is essentially the birthplace of the parliamentary tradition. Another example is Temple of Saturn. Most visitors don't realize that it was the central treasury of the Roman Empire. All the gold and silver reserve, all provincial taxes, and the entire state budget were stored inside the temple. A relatively less important example is the Arch of Septimus Severus. This triumphal arch celebrates the emperor's victories in North Africa. The detailed carvings shows scenes from campaign. Triumphal arches wasn't decorations, they were propaganda. Physical reminder to the public that Roman remaining powers come through military success. The last example is the Rostra. Caesar spoke here. Mark Antony delivered his famous speech here after Caesar's assassination. Tens of thousands gathered in the square to listen. Public speech in Rome wasn't entertainment, it was a political weapon, and this idea shaped every Western democracy traditions that followed. What you are seeing is a famous tourist attraction in Rome, the Mouth of Truth. This large marble disc dates back to the 2nd century, and most scholars believe it was originally a Roman drain cover or fountain cover. It was stood somewhere near the Roman forums and was later moved here in the 16th century. Of course, what made it truly world famous was the 1953 movie Roman Holiday. Since then, every visitor who comes here is basically recreating that moment. This Byzantium church next to it is Santa Maria in Cosmedian. The crypt is one of the most fascinating parts of the church because it preserves the layer of Rome that's much older than the buildings you see above ground. The crypt dates back to the 8th century, but it was built on top of structure from even the earlier periods, including Roman house and remains of the ancient Floramborium, one of the oldest neighborhood in the city. After returning the motorcycle, I'm going to the last attractions of this trip, Via dei Condotti. Most people think Via dei Condotti is famous just because of luxury brand, but the name Condotti actually means water channels. In the 7th century, the underground conduits of the Trevi aqueduct ran exactly under the street. What am I looking for on this street? I'm looking for Embassy of the Sovereign Military Order of Malta. I have to emphasize, it is not the same as Malta. It may look like an ordinary place, but legally, this is the territory of the sovereign entity, a country with low land. The Order of Malta have diplomatic relations with over 100 nations, issue its own passport and stamps, and runs humanitarian missions around the world. The headquarters in Rome, including this one, you've technically walked past the border of a country without a country. When we turn back, we're heading to the famous staircase of Spanish steps, even though, ironically, they were not built by Spain. The steps were completed in 1725, funded by the French, to connect their church on the top with the area around the Spanish embassy below. Because the embassy to the Holy See was located here, the whole square became known as the Spanish district, and eventually the staircase inherited the same name. The vlog today's in Rome is about to finish. The next vlog I'm going to share is my trip in Israel and Palestine. If you're interested in it, stay tuned. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section below. If you don't like it, share it to your friends. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.